I wrote an essay last year that covered the three areas of martial arts I often find are missing from most teaching programs. CSI, which is an acronym for Clarification, Skepticism and Individuality. Under the clarification section, I discussed an episode where a group of my clients had booked me to teach a fitness-orientated martial arts program. They'd asked what programs I taught, and although they showed clear interest in wanting to learn self-protection, the soft skills idea put them off. I offer combat conditioning as one of my services, and it appeared that the small group's objectives were to get fitter whilst doing martial arts. The skills I teach in such a course are pragmatic, but training isn't focused on self-protection or sport. The exercises are certainly appropriate as a form of supplement for my other courses, but the objective is on getting in better condition. As I explained in my essay, everyone seemed happy with the lessons. However, one evening after class, I overheard the group discussing on what they thought they were now capable of doing if someone tried to attack them. My class had decided they were learning self-protection regardless of what I had said. The incident was a good lesson to me. I've always been driven by a desire to be honest with my students. As I explained in CSI, I'm against the idea that a martial arts club should oversell itself on being able to provide everything to everyone. Too many students have attended a class under the impression that they were going to learn how to protect themselves, only to have their objective forcibly obscured. The student waits patiently as he learns a series of abstract movements that no longer have a functional purpose other than to pass a grading examination, or he trains diligently for a tournament, all the while thinking he's learning how to defend himself. I always want clients to be clear about what they're being taught. However, I don't believe self-protection needs to be a lifelong endeavour. My observation across a myriad of different martial arts styles, systems, schools and teachers, both in the subculture of today and from a historical perspective, is that people like to expand upon, ritualise and change. This is fine if you're training specifically in an art or a sport. Art always changes, and artists constantly seek to expand their abilities. Likewise, sports evolve. Both can be lifelong endeavours. Self-protection training, by contrast, should be contained and should be limited. In this respect, a good self-defence course can be compared to a good first aid course. Both seek to train civilians with no prior learning in life-preserving skills. In most cases, these skills are learnt in case of an emergency. They aren't learnt as a job role. So the civilian in a first aid course isn't usually learning to become a paramedic. They're usually content to train in a 10-hour first aid course and then try the course again at some time in the future as a refresher or to update their knowledge on the subject. I think it's a good idea in the intervening time for first aiders to try to go over the material they've learned and do the appropriate research, but this isn't going to be a hobby that they pursue every single week. The same should apply to self-protection, and I believe the danger of making self-protection the entirety of one's martial arts training is that a stylisation will inevitably occur. Techniques will develop and evolve under training conditions rather than be gleaned from the proverbial front line. It is inevitable that this will happen, often in a very cult-like way, with a teacher adopting the persona of an overly influential guru, ensuring their mark is all over the material being taught. Compare that to the military, where information is changed through the influence of constant battle. You don't get the same sort of thing in your typical self-defense class or your typical martial arts class, where everything is being done within a club environment. This isn't to say that a self-defense student shouldn't study any extra skills once their initial course is over. A first aider might wish to pursue some more advanced knowledge and do a 3-day course or a course more specific to their working environment, such as a first aid for children or animals. Likewise, there are self-defense bolt-on courses that specifically deal with edged or blunt weapons or firearms. These courses retain the restricted integrity of self-defense by being contained and having a designated cut-off point once the material is confirmed. However, what often happens in self-protection is the student likes the feel that controlled violence and channeled aggression provides. There is nothing wrong in this, and there's no reason why this shouldn't be explored within martial arts or combat sports. In fact, I believe it's very healthy, especially when these pursuits can be done without the constant concern of whether the techniques being trained can be immediately applied in a self-defense situation. What I often do with clients who have completed a self-protection course, and I've trained in one of my martial arts cross-training courses, is to go back to the self-defense aspect at the basic course's end. So for example, at the end of a Muay Thai course, we would look at how techniques from the sport can be applied to self-defense. Clients often find that the martial art course has worked as a great form of attribute training for their original self-protection course. This way, they can see what attributes they have gained from their training and how they apply it to self-defense. However, the majority of these courses are focused on the sporting or artistic objective, which I find to be enriching, challenging, healthy, and unashamedly fun. That's my personal approach to coaching these days, but I've seen some great examples of other schools following similar principles when they teach a holistic or comprehensive martial arts system. They ensure that self-protection work is done early on, or at least trained alongside the art's fundamental techniques. Then once the teacher is satisfied that enough basic self-protection has been taught, he tells the class that they will now explore other aspects of the martial art. A good teacher should then be able to explain how to switch between different training mindsets and also how different areas can benefit each other.